Hello, Leo, let me ask you something right away. What if the biggest financial turning point of your year is already in motion and it's happening right now, between June 2nd and June 4th? That's not clickbait. That's alignment. And if you're here, it's not an accident. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness, where divine timing meets grounded guidance. This is not just a horoscope reading. This is a sacred invitation into a cosmic doorway that's only open for a short time. From June 2nd to June 4th, 2025, your ruling planet the Sun is forming a rare, brilliant trine with Jupiter, the planet of expansion and abundance. Meanwhile, Venus, the guardian of wealth and self-worth, is illuminating your second house of income and value. That's not just astrology, that's a universal green light. You, Leo, were born to shine, but during this window, the light isn't just shining through you. It's magnetizing wealth, visibility, and purpose toward you. The question is, are you open to receive it? Now, you may have felt subtle shifts already, perhaps a hunch to try something new, a sudden inspiration, or even a moment of emotional release. That's your intuition sensing this energetic upshift. And the truth is, this energy doesn't reward force. It responds to alignment, to faith, to the boldness of showing up as your truest, most unapologetic self. So if you've clicked on this video, I want you to pause and feel that for a moment. Not as coincidence, but as confirmation that your soul is paying attention. That something within you is ready to awaken, receive, and rise. And while we're here, let me just take a moment to say this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Every view, every like, every comment you leave, every time you hit subscribe, it's not just supporting eternal mindfulness, it's expanding a community of souls who believe in living consciously, magically, and fully. Your presence makes this space sacred, and your energy amplifies it. And trust me, dear Leo, you'll want to stay with me until the very end of today's message. Because what the universe is about to reveal through your chart is nothing short of miraculous. There are breakthroughs waiting to meet you, insights you've longed for, and a spiritual blueprint that will change the way you understand your finances, your power, and your place in this world. So tell me this, and don't overthink it, what called you here today? Was it a feeling? A number you kept seeing? A restlessness in your chest you couldn't quite name? Comment below. I am ready to receive what is already mine. Let's set this intention together, because this isn't just a prediction. It's a co-creation. Now take a breath, settle into your space, and get ready. We're about to dive into the cosmic map of your next chapter, and Leo, you've never been more ready to roar. When the Queen of Cups appears in your reading during a waning moon in a water sign, it's more than just a nudge from the universe, it's a call to return home to yourself. This phase isn't about striving or proving anything. It's about unlearning the pressure to always appear strong, and instead allowing yourself to feel deeply, wholly, without judgment. The cosmic energies from the waning moon right now are peeling back emotional layers you may have kept hidden, even from yourself. These layers don't make you weak, they make you human. They're remnants of moments you didn't have the time or space to process. And now, they are gently asking to be acknowledged, honored, and released. You may find that certain memories resurface unexpectedly, small things, a sentence someone once said, a place you walked past, or even a song you thought you'd forgotten. These aren't random. This is the subtle work of the cosmos nudging you toward emotional liberation. The Queen of Cups invites you to sit with these feelings like you would with an old friend. Not to fix them. Not to analyze them. But simply to be present. She doesn't demand answers, she holds space. And maybe that's exactly what your inner self is craving, the permission to just be. Astrologically, when the moon wanes through a water sign, your internal tides shift. You may feel a quiet ache or a deep longing, not always tied to something specific. That's because water signs don't speak in logic, they speak in impressions, memories, sensations. And this lunar influence is amplifying your emotional intuition so you can better hear what's been buried under performance and routine. Now is a powerful time to observe your inner dialogue. Is it gentle? Is it rushed? Is it even your voice or one you've internalized from the world around you? There is a quiet teaching that says, when you see a storm approaching, do not run from it. Sit. Breathe. Watch the clouds roll in. And in that stillness, let the storm pass through you, not over you. This is the essence of emotional healing, not resistance, but conscious witnessing. One gentle practice you might try is writing down 3 emotions that feel heavy right now. Don't judge them, just name them. Then, with intention, burn the paper, safely, as a symbolic act of release. It's not about erasing the feeling, but about honoring it enough to let it transform. Another simple yet sacred ritual is to prepare a warm cup of tea and sit with it in silence for 3 minutes each morning. Not with your phone. Not with a to-do list. Just you, your breath, and the steam rising like a quiet offering. This is what I call active stillness, a space where healing becomes organic. Where presence begins to rewire your nervous system from survival to safety. In numerology, the number 7 carries the vibration of inner knowing, solitude, and spiritual protection. It asks you to trust what is felt, not just what is seen. And during this time, it's guiding you inward, not to escape the world, but to meet yourself more fully within it. Leaning into the wisdom of 7 means remembering that insight doesn't scream, it whispers. So slow down enough to hear it. And if you need a visual anchor, consider surrounding yourself with pale blue in your clothes, your bed sheets, your digital wallpaper. Blue is the frequency of inner peace, of calm waters, of the gentle re-establishment of self-trust. It reminds you that healing isn't loud. It's quiet, soft, consistent. Like the ocean at dawn. So as you stand here at the edge of your own emotional season, know this: you are not breaking. You are softening so that something real, something essential, can rise in its place. Not a version of you the world applauds, but the one your soul has always been waiting to return to. When energy begins to shift in the financial realm, it rarely announces itself with grand displays. Instead, it arrives like a gust of wind, a sudden clarity, a spark of motivation, an idea that seems too alive to ignore. That's exactly the nature of the 8 of Wands, a card that doesn't wait for permission. It rushes in. Fast, focused, urgent. And if you're attuned to it right now, Leo, it's because something you've been energetically aligned with is finally breaking through the surface of your reality. The universe is not testing you, it's responding to you. The current astrological backdrop only magnifies this. With Jupiter expanding your energetic field, what you concentrate on is no longer staying dormant. You are, in a very literal sense, becoming more aware. Your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, they all have a voice. They are being heard. magnifying your own frequency. Think of it as cosmic momentum. That's why, in this moment, the things you think about most, your desires, your fears, your intentions, are gaining shape faster than usual. So the question is, where is your focus? Are you feeding expansion or hesitation? Are you building toward what you want, or reinforcing old doubts? Here's something many overlook: speed without direction is noise. The Eight of Wands is not just about things happening quickly, it's about clarity guiding the motion. If you're unclear on what you want financially, now is the time to refine your vision. Not to wait for more proof. Not to wait until you feel ready. But to declare, even if softly, what you're calling in. That's where the power lies. This is where practical ritual meets cosmic science. One self-guided method you can try is the money wolf practice. On a small piece of paper, write down 3 streams of income you want to create or amplify, as specific or intuitive as you like. Say them aloud every morning for the next week. Not like a wish, but like a reminder: this is where my energy is going. This is what I am creating space for. Repetition doesn't just rewire your mind, it conditions your vibration. And don't underestimate small actions right now. We're in a window of momentum, and according to energetic principles, what you set into motion within 72 hours can ripple far beyond the effort you think it requires. Start the email. Launch the idea. Make the call. You're not being reckless, you're responding to the tailwinds. Sometimes waiting is wise. Other times, waiting is the resistance disguised as caution. In numerology, the number 8 is sacred. It's the number of infinity, of cycles, of cause and effect. What you put out, you receive. It's not just about financial power, it's about energetic stewardship. When your efforts and your values align, the results multiply. And if you've ever felt that your hard work hasn't been fairly rewarded, this period offers recalibration. But again, you must step forward and meet it. As you walk this path, consider surrounding yourself with the color terracotta, deep earthy orange that evokes strength, rootedness, and sustainable growth. It's not the flashiest hue, but it speaks of foundations that last. It reminds you that wealth is not just about gain, it's about grounding. That true abundance doesn't flare up and disappear, it builds. And beyond all strategies and symbols, consider this. In one tradition, it's said that the wealth you seek is not something outside to be earned, but something within that must be recognized. The moment you stop chasing and begin aligning, the pursuit becomes a path, and the path begins to respond. So if life feels faster now, good. You're moving with it. Let the wave carry you. Let focus be your compass. And let action, even the smallest step, be your declaration that you're ready not just to want more but to receive it fully. When the magician appears in your path, it's not a subtle nudge, it's a mirror held up to remind you of what you already possess. This moment isn't about acquiring more skills or waiting for the perfect time. It's about recognizing that the tools are already in your hands. Often, the illusion of lack is louder than the truth of readiness. But the astrological alignment now, especially with the sun illuminating your 10th house of career and purpose, shines a revealing light. It asks, not quietly, why are you still operating within an outdated framework, when everything within you is wired for something far more aligned? This is where the deeper shift happens, not in changing jobs or titles, but in changing the relationship you have with your own sense of authority. The 10th house governs legacy, visibility, and the long game. When it's activated by the sun, it's not about short-term wins. It's about coming into full presence with your potential, and having the courage to step out of the shadow of what once made you feel safe. The truth is, many of us cling to careers or patterns not because they fulfill us, but because they validate what we've been taught to value: stability over freedom, routine over expression, quiet survival over loud authenticity. But the magician teaches otherwise. This archetype is about inner integration. Mind, body, voice, will all aligned and activated. It's about looking at your current professional life and asking, where am I merely performing, and where am I actually creating from truth? One small yet transformative way to begin is by writing out your ideal career description, not in the language of resumes or industries, but in terms of how you want to feel. Do you want freedom in your time? Creative control? Contribution to something meaningful? Write as if it's already true. This act alone sets a new vibration in motion. Then, take it a step further. Clear your space. The space you work in carries memory. Clutter often mirrors internal confusion. Clean one drawer. Delete the apps you no longer use. Refresh your desk. Rearrange the energy. In ancient practice, it's said that before any major shift, the mind must prepare by making space not just physically, but energetically. This isn't about minimalism, it's about movement. Even a simple rearrangement can signal to the subconscious that change is not only welcome, it's happening. Numerologically, the number 1 is the vibration of new beginnings, of self-leadership, and forward motion. It doesn't ask for permission. It initiates. It begins again, not recklessly, but with grounded vision. When you move in harmony with the number 1, you embody the role of the pioneer, the risk-taker, the one who no longer waits for outside approval to pursue an inner calling. During this time, surround yourself with tones of moss green and silver. These are not random colors. Moss green fosters regeneration. It connects your ambitions with nature's quiet persistence. Silver, on the other hand, sharpens mental clarity and elevates focus. Together, they create an atmosphere of deliberate renewal. A space where you are both grounded and visionary. And if you find yourself hesitating, as most do, remember this: a path becomes visible only when you start walking. There's a teaching that says, the one who takes one step wholeheartedly goes farther than the one who waits with 1,000 plans. This is that step, Leo. Not because you're not enough as you are, but because you're ready to stop performing a role that no longer fits. You were not meant to just manage expectations. You were meant to lead with light. So as this wave of energy builds, meet it not with resistance, but with direction. Because what you begin now is not just a career movie, it's a liberation. Relationships, when aligned with truth, become the clearest mirrors we can look into. And when the sun card rises in a reading, especially within the realm of connection and intimacy, it doesn't offer shade or subtlety, it offers illumination. It's the gentle but unwavering light that reveals not only what's beautiful, but also what's no longer sustainable. In this space of clarity, there's no more room for pretending, performing, or quietly tolerating a version of love that requires you to shrink in order to keep it. This isn't about judgment. It's about returning to the source of honesty, starting with yourself. With Venus now activating your fifth house, the house of passion, romance, and creative expression, this is an ideal time to re-examine how freely you allow yourself to feel within your relationships. Are you withholding affection or approval in exchange for security? Are you measuring your worth by how predictable or easy to love you appear? Often, we try to manage relationships like we manage tasks tightly, methodically, and with the hope that control will lead to certainty. But love, real love, isn't sustained by control. It's sustained by presence, by being seen, and by choosing to see, over and over again. If you're in a relationship, this is an invitation to pause and check in, not out of suspicion or urgency, but out of curiosity. How are you really doing together? Not on the surface, not in your routines, but underneath all of it. Have you spoken the truths that matter most to you lately? Have you created space for both joy and discomfort to be shared equally? The practice of checking in isn't just about asking questions, it's about learning how to listen without preparing your response. As one wise teaching reminds us, true presence is a form of love that goes beyond words. It's the gift of full attention, free from agenda. And if you're single, the sun reminds you of something many forget. Your energy is most magnetic when you're not performing. When you're not trying to curate an image or posture yourself just right to be chosen. You are not a draft of someone better. You are not a placeholder for a future version of yourself. You are whole, right now. And ironically, it's in moments when you stop trying to appear lovable that you become utterly irresistible, not because you're flawless, but because you're real. Numerologically, the number 2 speaks to balance, partnership, and mutual resonance. It's the number that asks, can you meet someone halfway, not out of obligation, but out of a genuine willingness to co-create? This number doesn't rush toward attachment, nor does it retreat into solitude. It walks the path of reflection, off giving and receiving love with integrity. Surrounding yourself with gentle hues like pastel pink or lavender during this time may offer you more than visual calm. These colors carry subtle energetic vibrations that soothe the nervous system, invite emotional openness, and restore softness where tension may have grown unnoticed. As color is also frequency, the environment you create becomes part of the energy you offer in return. There's a gentle lesson here, one that echoes in both psychology and ancient wisdom. The love you extend to others cannot be more honest than the love you allow for yourself. And the moment you stop bending yourself into versions that don't reflect who you truly are, space opens. Not just for someone else to enter, but for you to finally inhabit your own emotional home. Let this be the beginning of a more open-hearted chapter. Not the one where everything goes perfectly, but the one where you no longer trade freedom for acceptance, where you speak without fear of losing, and where the warmth you share isn't filtered, only felt. This, dear soul, is what it means to be loved for who you are, not who you think you should be. There comes a moment in every driven soul's journey when the very fire that once inspired action begins to feel like it's burning too fast, too hot, and with too little fuel. If you've been feeling drained lately, not just physically, but on a deeper, almost invisible level, the Hermit reversed offers more than a warning. It offers insight. You might have been operating under the illusion that rest is indulgent, that pushing through is strength, that if you just try harder, things will resolve themselves. But when the Hermit turns upside down, it asks you to reconsider the kind of silence you're carrying. Is it chosen introspection, or are you isolating because you're too exhausted to engage with life? This fatigue doesn't always announce itself with a collapse. Sometimes it shows up as minor irritability, difficulty focusing, lack of enthusiasm, or even the creeping sense that something is off, even when everything looks fine. Astrologically, the current tension between the Moon and Saturn points to a specific imbalance: the neglect of the body's wisdom in favor of external structure. Saturn wants structure, discipline, and long-term plans. The Moon, however, wants nourishment, comfort, and rhythm. When these two are in hard aspect, there's often a feeling of being stretched thin, like the body is asking for one thing while the calendar demands another. In moments like these, care must shift from being reactive to intentional. A body that's been ignored doesn't just bounce back because you slept in once or skipped a meeting. It needs presence. It needs daily rituals that say, "You matter." That's where practices like drinking warm water with honey and turmeric come in. More than a wellness trend, this is an act of symbolic cleansing and inflammation relief. In ancient systems, the morning body is compared to a garden right before sunrise, still tender, open, and ready to absorb. What you give it first thing has the power to set the tone for your entire day. Breathwork is another powerful bridge between nervous system and mind. The balance the fire technique, a slow, deliberate inhale followed by a forceful exhale 7 times in the morning, not only grounds your energy but recenters your mind on what matters most. Breath, in many traditions, is not just oxygen. It is awareness. It is the carrier of intention. So when you breathe with purpose, even for a minute, you're not just calming down, you're returning to yourself. The number 4 in numerology reminds us that the most enduring structures are built slowly, brick by brick. It symbolizes endurance, care, and foundation. And in this moment, your foundation is your body. Not your deadlines. Not your accomplishments. The irony is, the more you nurture your physical vessel, the more productive you become, not in bursts, but with steady, sustainable energy. There's an old lesson that says, if you want to build something that lasts a lifetime, move at the pace of your breath. When you rush, you miss the moment. When you slow down, life starts to meet you halfway. Visual cues can also play a supportive role. Surrounding yourself with tones of olive gray, soft greenish hues, can gently recalibrate your nervous system. These shades don't demand attention, they invite balance. They reflect the quiet resilience of nature, the calm of early morning fog, the strength that doesn't need to shout to be recognized. Color, when used mindfully, becomes part of your healing environment, a reminder that stability is not found in rigidity, but in rhythm. So as you move forward with your goals, dreams, and responsibilities, ask yourself honestly, is the fire within me being fueled or only consumed? If the answer leans toward depletion, consider this your opportunity not to stop but to shift. To let care lead. Because when your body is nourished, your spirit expands. And in that expansion, everything you're working toward begins to flow with less resistance, more ease, and much deeper joy. If you're still here, Leo, I know this message has stirred something within you. Because this period, June 2 to 4, is not just a passage of time. It's a threshold. A cosmic window where the universe is whispering, not with chaos, but with clarity, you are ready. Ready to remember who you truly are beneath the layers you've worn to survive. Ready to reclaim the part of you that once dared to believe in magic, in power, in purpose. And ready, finally, to create a life not just of success but of soulful alignment. You don't need to prove your worth by carrying what's heavy. You don't need to delay joy until the world approves. And you certainly don't need anyone's permission to rise into the full radiance of your being. Because your light, Leo, is not a reward. It's your nature. It was never meant to be dimmed, only understood and, when necessary, fiercely protected. That light you carry? It doesn't just guide you. It has the power to illuminate the path for others still lost in the dark. These 3 days offer you something precious, the chance to begin again. But differently this time. Not from exhaustion. Not from fear. From intention. From wisdom. From a place where your goals are no longer escapes but expressions. Of love. Of truth. Of trust. So I invite you now to reflect, gently but honestly. What part of you have you been silencing just to stay safe? Where in your life have you been overfunctioning, when all you really needed was to breathe? And what would change truly if you started honoring your fire not just as a symbol of strength, but as a living force that deserves to be nourished? Maybe your breakthrough won't come in the form of applause or a bank notification. Maybe it will come in the stillness when you finally feel your own heartbeat again and realize it's always been the rhythm of courage. I hope this video didn't just inform you but reminded you of your power, of your softness, of your ability to transform again and again. And if this journey has touched even a single part of your inner world, I would love for you to share that in the comments. Right, I am ready to lead with light. Not just for me to see but for you to declare. Because the act of naming your readiness has a ripple effect you might not even realize yet. And while you're here, let me take a moment to thank you from the deepest part of my heart for being part of this sacred space. Every like, every comment, every time you subscribe or share these messages are not just supporting eternal mindfulness. You're helping build a collective of awakened hearts, walking this path with grace, grit, and so much love. I'm deeply grateful for your presence. So stay close. Stay curious. Stay sovereign. And remember, your fire isn't here to burn you out. It's here to guide you home.